All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind, but we're going to have a show.
And hello, you can't see this if you're just listening, but my credibility glasses are firmly in place and I'm ready to go.
Looking good.
Yeah, baby. Nothing like a moonshot to jack me up. We'll talk about the moonshot, first moon landing in half a century, and the changing nature of the government space program and private industry space program, how those two things come together. Sounds kind of boring, but
there's never been anything like this.
Looking forward to. I promise you, we'll make it interesting, or we'll move on.
Can you let him finish?
Yeah, that's right. I may just move on.
Hey, Mark, it's George Santos here.
Hey, George, how are you?
A lot of people are telling me you're a liar.
I don't remember lying, but you could be lying about me. A lot of people telling you I'm a liar, so I'm just...
What's a little lie between friends?
All right, when you say it that way, it's better. Friday, Fabulous Florida. How is it today, Albert? How is the water? Is the water warm?
The water is almost borderline hot this week.
Wow, Albert,
thank you.
Rocks the show. And Kim coming off the Nikki show.
Kim, how are you?
I thought you were very good on Nikki's show this morning. Yeah, so right on, baby.
That's nice of you to say.
Yeah, the birthday, it's Nikki's. There are two Nikkis in the zeitgeist right now. I suppose zeitgeist is a dang word. The one Nikki is Nikki Haley, of course. And now, Albert, did I send you the stuff on Nikki Haley? I'll get to you. Leave that super sticker up. I'll get to it in a second. Did I send you the Nikki Haley stuff?
With my dear friend Charles Barkley.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
wanted to actually do
anybody.
something on that if we have time.
Yeah, I have it. I'm ready with that.
Okay, we'll get to that. Nikki
Albert's on
Haley is
fire today.
all of you who you can leave that Romania Animal Rescue Inc. up. They're so cool. They hit us from time to time, and they do good work from what I can see. And the other good work they do is hitting us with the $20 super
Big
sticker.
shout out.
So, yeah, big shout out to them. But you can leave it up there for a second. I do want to mention that Nikki Haley has been embraced by you libs and by you lefties because she's anti-Trump as sort of this moderate candidate. The same way you embraced Liz Cheney. I couldn't believe what I was seeing about Liz Cheney. I mean, maybe we should run, Liz Cheney and Biden run together, Liz Cheney. It was outrageous. It was sickening to me. This is someone who is happy with this Supreme Court. Nikki Haley is someone who's happy with this Supreme Court. The Cheneys, the Haleys, these are, just because they're against your guy, Trump, the big bad devil, you're ready to embrace them? You need a cold slap in the face. Now you can take the Romania Animal Rescue off, but thank you again, guys. Mama de Three Boys sends us $10 for the
shout out.
super chat that interrupts my rant. Thank you for interrupting my rant. And
Can you let him finish, sir?
No, I think I made my point. We'll get back to Nikki Haley. Celebrating my birthday a day early with the Mark Thompson Show. Come on, Mama de Three Boys. De tres. How do you say boys in Spanish?
Chicos.
Chicos. De
Niños
tres
is children.
chicos.
Chicos is boys, right? Yeah.
Yes. Mujeres is women. What is men?
Niñas.
Caballeros would be gentlemen.
Hombre.
Hombres. Celebrating my birthday a day early with the Mark Thompson Show. I know it's not too much, or not much, but poco a poquito se llena el cochinito. Little by little, it fills the cochinito. Albert, what does cochinito mean, please?
Albert, thank you.
I might have to do a Google search on that.
Google it.
Yeah, cochinito, please. Celebrating my birthday a day earlier with Mark Thompson Show. I know it's not much, but poco a poquito se llena
I think piggy bank.
el cochinito.
It's a little pig. It feels a little pig.
Little pig and there is a little pig emoji there with money. I should have figured it out.
Yeah.
That is the answer. Well done.
Just 1 point to Kim today. 1 point.
Yes, 1 point to Kim. I will say this on Maud Day. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
$30 from Maud Day. Big shout out to Maud. She's a super supporter.
Matching the donors. Look at that.
Matching donors today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I'm not going to cry, Maud, but you have been active this week. So thank you very, very much for that.
Thank you so much.
That's what I meant to say. Thank you so much. Today, in addition to Friday Fabulous Florida, which, as mentioned, apparently is a smoker, Elex Michaelson is here instead of Michael Schur. Michael's on the road with, who knows, he's covering Trump, Nikki Haley, who knows what the hell he's covering. I mean, they've got to send him everywhere at TYT. But Elex will be here, and he was very well received last time.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, it's reminded me of when Brock Purdy came in. And everybody said, oh, no, it's Brock Purdy. I mean, he's the third string quarterback. There's no way that Brock Purdy can. And what does he do? He rocked the show is what Brock Purdy did. And he was a winner. Now Elex Michaelson is our Brock Purdy. Comes in, sure, out of the lineup. And look at this, Albert. Elex Michaelson, the tall, handsome host and anchor, as well as the analyst. He does a show called The Issue Is, all about California politics and national politics as well. We'll ask him about Steve Garvey's ascendance to the number 2 spot in the Senate race in California. We'll also talk about Nikki Haley. Obviously, the South Carolina primary may seal it and probably will seal it for Trump. The other thing that's going to happen today, and maybe my favorite thing, although it's hard to pick a favorite on a Friday for sure, Michael Snyder, the culture blaster, who is here by link today. Usually he's in the studio, but he's here by link with a full rundown of things you can watch in the movies and streaming. Glasses or not, says Luis. This is a super chat just offered to us. Glasses or not, you always have credibility, Mark. You equal huge soda host.
Big shout out.
That's
Thank
a Michael Schurism.
Michael Schur has created this
Huge soda
thing. I actually think that it was Trevor Starr in Hollywood now. He was in Concord, who sent me the breakdown of all the different huge soda stuff. So I have to find his to actually get the drops back in. Mm-hmm. But huge soda is what Michael Schur refers to sort of big deals as, like a big guy or a big deal. You can. It seems like a pretty versatile term. But anyway. That was you, Mark. First day. Purdy is just a weird name. No, this is exactly Mars, formerly Anonymous. Mars, you are, as usual, perverting what I actually said. I said this about Brock Purdy, and then I really want to start. I know what you kids are doing. You're delaying the start of class. I understand how this works. It's absolutely a tried and true, and I respect it on some level. I really do.
Thompson, party of 4.
I'm late for my table, so let me just quickly tell you that when you say that was you, Mark, who was doubting Purdy. No. I said Purdy is just a weird name. First of all, I didn't say weird name. Let me tell you how I broke it down. Please don't misquote me, Mars. It's outrageous. My God. I mean, really.
Good day, sir.
What I said was that he had two opposite names. Brock is the greatest name you could have as a football player.
Total dude name.
It's a dude name. It's got rock in it. You make it, literally, I don't know a lot of first names better than Brock.
It's full of testosterone, that name.
Purdy is the opposite. It's not like that. And I said both of these names are coexisting in the same guy. The insanely, as Kim has noted, testosterone-filled, machismo-filled Brock is coexisting with the more, shall we say, diminutive.
You got a purty mouth.
Purdy is just not what Brock is. That's what I was, diminutive is a ding word. That's what I was saying, Mars, and how dare you misquote me like that? And that's always been what you've done, whether you're Al Anonymous or Mars.
Why are you yelling?
All right. Now let's start. You tell Mars. Neiman says, yeah, you tell Mars. Right. All right, let's get started.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Congratulations to the United States of America. First moon landing in half a century. It's not exactly your grandpa's moon landing, meaning this moon landing was built by a company called Intuitive Machines, landed on the south pole of the moon. It is the first U.S. touchdown on the lunar surface in more than half the century, as I was saying. And I think maybe notably, it's a machine that's coming from the private sector in cooperation with NASA, right, Kim?
Yeah, nobody aboard this one. So, and I don't know what happens to it because at some point it's going to run out of power. So I don't know if they leave it up there or if it's supposed to come back or what. But NASA has this program with private companies where, and I think a week or two ago, there was another attempt by a different company and it failed. And they had to scrap their whole mission. So this is the first successful one with the private companies that NASA is working with on this program.
And there was a lot of anxiety about this thing making it. I mean, they had this final approach and descent to the surface. It was reminiscent on some level of those space shots in the late 60s and early 70s. It happened, this Odysseus, as it's called, touched down about 6:23 Eastern Time. And that is, you can see on YouTube now, this is sort of a mix of, you can see what's happening in the control room there. I will say this about the control room. There they are applauding. The control room in the, I believe that's an artist's conception because there are no...
There's no video cameras on the moon.
On the moon, so you wouldn't be able to see it, right? But it is pretty cool, and that is good. And that's basically you're seeing the components of that spacecraft. It's very exciting. It's also a reminder that space travel and space exploration has changed. It's become something that, instead of being spearheaded by government, is now being spearheaded by private industry. You're seeing Elon Musk, you're seeing Jeff Bezos. These are clearly commercial enterprises that are interested in some kind of government cooperation, but they're interested in the profit that might be associated with space. It used to be, and certainly if you look at the lunar landing, the manned lunar landing, there was no profit associated with that, right? That was a huge domestic investment we made. And now, really, that's gone. You don't have space exploration sponsored by the government anyway on that level. So all of this is to say it's exciting. I have to tell you something. I mean, while it is exciting, I don't mean to be always the buzzkill guy, but I think the space exploration to me has always been fascinating. I think the satellites that have been launched, I should say the telescopes that have been launched, not the satellites. The telescopes have been launched have been so very exciting. The information that comes back, the images that come back, I just look at them with utter wonder. And they recapture sort of those aspects of what science is capable of, you know?
Why do you think it's been more than 50 years since the United States has been to the moon? Is it because we've been there, done that, and so we set our sights on other things? Or it wasn't profitable for us to go there? Why has it been so long?
I think it's a little bit of the second. It's not any of the first. It's because you haven't been there, done that. I mean, you landed men on the moon, but you don't know the moon. I mean, as a country, and as a people, and as a species, we don't know or understand the moon. In fact, this landing in a part of the moon that we've really not explored before might have some interesting revelations associated with water and other things. And the other aspect to this is if you can set up a lunar outpost of sorts. Again, it doesn't even have to be a manned outpost. When we use the word manned, you know what I mean, men or women up there, scientists. You can launch other probes from there because you just don't have the resistance. You don't have the atmospheric resistance that you have on Earth to launch a rocket. So you can see that, like, you could skip off that lily pad, which is the moon, and get to a lot of other places and do a lot of other things. The answer to your question, though, is, I believe, simple. We took a utilitarian view of space. During the Carter administration, we took a view of the space shuttle program as one that would serve our interests, a lot of them, frankly, military, launching military and communications satellites, and populated the Earth's orbit with all of those different things. I'm talking about satellites and aspects of the space program associated with intelligence gathering information and this sort of thing, and communications. But the space shuttle program never was designed to really go farther than servicing a space station or servicing some of those things I just mentioned in terms of putting things in orbit. So again, that begins to serve national interests more than some wonderment about space exploration.
Sure.
So there is a commercial aspect to that space shuttle program, which has now been shuttered, of course, and there is a wildly commercial aspect to what this company is doing. I mean, they're not doing it out of some government research grant. They're doing it with the notion that there will be something of a pot of gold in working with the government and working toward some kind of lunar exploration and space exploration. And the last thing I would say is that's not to say that these scientists are some, money grubbing, whatever. No, they're scientists. They love what they do. They love what they've created. I think this is exciting for them, And Odysseus, as he's called, it's from what? The Homeric character, right? The
Odyssey.
The Odyssey, right.
Yeah.
And so it was the Odyssey was the Homer, right? Wasn't that Homer who did that, Albert?
Yeah.
Yeah, Homer. There you go. Yeah, that's it.
Julia's reading that for high school English right now.
Now, Albert, check this, or Kim, check this. Homer.
The Iliad and the Odyssey.
Yeah, the Iliad and the Odyssey. The second most famous Homer now. I would say Homer Simpson is the most famous Homer.
It's true.
Sorry, Homer. But the Homer that we talk about with the Iliad and the Odyssey, wasn't that an oral? I believe he told those stories. Am I wrong about that?
Google it.
Somebody Google it. I'm pretty sure I might be completely wrong about this. But
I know it's a book available in many translations, but I don't know who wrote the book. Maybe it was taken as an oral history. I don't know.
Google it.
I think if you Google it, there is an oral history aspect to Homer. I don't believe he wrote anything down. I might be completely wrong. It would be incredible. I don't recall. Albert, have I ever been completely wrong about something?
Nothing completely, only partially, Mark. Never.
Yeah.
Albert, thank you.
Yeah, very good. All right. So we'll check on that. Kind of waiting for the...
Homer's authorship was infrequently questioned in antiquity, but contemporary scholarship predominantly assumes the Iliad and the Odyssey were composed independently and that the stories formed as part of a long oral tradition.
Oral tradition is meaning that Mark is right.
Yeah,
and predominantly is a ding word, so well done. Anyway, congratulations to Odysseus and those who were involved in getting that technology to work. They were all oral until they were finally transcribed, says Eric Kennedy. It was a poem, because that way it was easier to memorize. There you are. Well, I'd like to marinate in how right I was But let's move on.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Now, Albert, show me a little bit of. I've got so much stuff today. I could do a 4-hour show every day. I don't know what to do with this.
With the moon landing just happening, it's gonna. One thing you forgot to mention, it's gonna the conspiracy theorists will emerge again. This is like one of the favorite topics of those.
Oh yeah. So now that we've reported on it, now we can talk about what really happened, right? Which is the government in league with the private industry has faked a whole thing because we know that no one's ever gone to the moon. And this conspiracy may be one of the best kept secrets in all of government. And that entire thing, those launches, those walks, they were completely concocted in a studio. And this is easy. The actual pictures of this lunar lander, as they're calling it, they were all drawn up by a team of artists in the Philippines. Am I right about that, Albert? You have some connections to that. You know that, thank God, that there's some quality work being done. I don't know what to say, but anyway, congratulations to the conspirators for passing another one off on the saps who believe that scientists could actually go to the moon. It's ridiculous.
The Mark Thompson Show.
All right, so you know about the theocracy and the rise of the theocracy in Alabama. It's showing its head in so many different ways. You have Christian theocrats, Christian nationalists who are running government. The House of Representative Mike Johnson is one of them. The story we explored in some detail yesterday, and I will touch on it again from a political perspective with Elex when he comes in top of the hour. I wanted to touch on Nikki Haley, but now, let me just run a little bit of the Nikki Haley stuff, because I think, man, she is exposed more and more on the stump as, first of all, she's exposed as having backward views of the world. And I think she's exposed, as the, I don't want to call her vacuous, but I'll just call her an empty vessel, which I guess is the same as vacuous, easily shaping her message for whatever she feels is most politically expedient. Expedient would be a ding word.
But you never really, you kind of know what she thinks, but she has this way of talking in circles where she never says anything.
Exactly. And she doesn't do it well. She's not so skilled at it, but she does the dance, and but when she comes down on one thing or another, because she does play to the room, she gets called out on it, and then she really doesn't know what to do. Albert, run a little bit of, what is this? This is her with Charles Barkley and Gayle King. Here we go.
So first of all, I never said that there was not racism in America. There absolutely is racism in America. I said that America was not a racist country. And the whole point of that is, and Charles, you'll appreciate this, when I grew up, the only Indian family in a small rural southern town, we weren't white enough to be white, we weren't black enough to be black. They didn't know who we were, what we were, or why we were there. If my mom had told me that we lived in a racist country, I would have grown up never thinking I could be governor, never thinking I could be ambassador, never thinking I could run for president. But my mom always said, your job is not to show them how you're different. Your job is to show them how you're similar. And it's amazing how that lesson on the playground played throughout my life, whether it was the corporate world, as governor, as ambassador, that once I was ever presented with a challenge, if I first talked about the things we had in common, people would let their guard down. And then we could go towards a solution.
But Governor, I think most people heard you say...
Stop right there, Albert. We'll continue, but I want to just mention, you see what she does. She takes the question and then she goes off on, if I had been told this, if I'd been told that. That's not the point. And that's not the point of what you want to... The question isn't what you want to tell your kids or how you want to raise your kids or what the message should be. The question is about the reality. America was at its nucleus a racist country, and racism still informs so much of what's going on in this country. This country is still manifesting wildly on a grand scale all kinds of evidence of racism.
Wasn't there something
with bank
about
loans and rents, and it's documented constantly with policing, etc. Go ahead, Kim.
when she talks about this, she said there is racism in America, but America inherently is not a racist country, that we weren't founded upon racist principles. But
we were founded on racist principles.
That's exactly right. What was that whole 3/5 of a person thing? Was that not a racist principle?
Thank you. We were absolutely founded on racist principles.
That's exactly right.
We built an economy on a racist principle.
How you could think otherwise, and how you could just gloss over that whole thing and she even invoked with this Charles Barkley interview, all men are created equal, life, pursuit of happiness, blah, blah, blah. No, they didn't think all men were created equal. They thought black people were worth 3/5 of a white person. If that's not racism,
they didn't even think that. I mean, that's the reality is when it says all men are created equal, they're not talking about black people when they wrote that. Black people are owned. They're
so like is she just glossing over it, or is she completely uneducated, or is she stupid?
Well, she knows what's going on. Go ahead, Albert. Play a little bit more, and then we got to move on. But
I think most people heard you say
our job should
that
be
you did not
that we
believe
stomp
that
out
America has ever
racism.
been a racist country. That's the problem. That we heard you say.
That's not
that
what
is
I
what
said.
We heard. Okay. That's
no,
what we
so
heard.
I never said. I said that America is not a racist country. The premise of America was never to be a racist country, and that our number one goal should be to make today better than yesterday. We need to stomp out racism wherever it exists. But if you go and tell kids that they live in a racist country, then you're automatically telling brown and black kids that they'll never be good enough. I don't want our kids to think that. I want them to know that, yes, there is racism. Yes, it is wrong wherever we see it. But that doesn't mean that the country is against you. That means that we need you even more than ever so we can stomp it out wherever we see it.
Okay, I really don't want to split hairs, but the exact quote that you said was, America has never been a racist country. I think that's the problem that people objected to. We're not disputing that what you're saying about America is not a racist country. Some people would argue with that. But we're saying that the comment you made that particular day was that America has never been a racist country. And I think that's what caught people off surprise, caught people off guard, and surprised many people.
And I don't think the premise of America was to be a racist country. I think that they said that, every man was created equal with life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And getting it to the place it needed to be America was a work in progress. But I don't think that the basis of America was that we were a racist country.
Okay, that's it. I mean, clearly she's right. As we've just mentioned, she's...
what?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Where's my...
What?
Yeah, thank you. But you see how it's a pretty typical, it's kind of politician 101. She's not really, she goes, denial, I never said that. What I meant was, and then they say, well, you actually did say that. And then she gets into, and then finally she goes into, we should all be together. This is what divides us, etc. But that's Nikki Haley, and you don't need to focus on her too closely because she will be out of the race this time next week. At least I believe.
You think so? Because she says she's sticking in. She says, I will not quit.
Well, she's about to get thumped in her home state, but I know she's hanging out to see if something happens, but...
I mean, does she have to stay in case Trump's legal cases wind up with him in an orange jumpsuit?
No, she just has to suspend her campaign, just the same way the rest of these guys have.
Yeah.
Nobody's withdrawn. They've all suspended, and that's so that they can get back out on the ice. They're just sitting there with their skates still on, and they want to get back out on the ice.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I've got Florida waiting, but I do want to acknowledge, I think Kathy... Can you put that up there, Albert? I just saw Kathy in the Kathy McKinney Lakeside. Look at this.
Whoa.
Kathy McKinney Lakeside PE. $50 in the super chat. We so desperately needed
Big shout out
this month particularly. Thank you for your show from the Mountain Network News. keeping journalism alive in the Santa Cruz Mountains. Come
yay.
on. Wow, look at you, Kathy McKinney, Lakeside.
Yeah.
Wow. Super cool.
I got to look it up. Lakeside PE now.
I love it. Yeah, look it up. I've got John Daly waiting. I don't like to keep him waiting. He can be, he's deserving of immediate attention.
Of course.
If I don't get to him and give him that immediate attention, he can become ornery.
Uh-oh.
Or prickly, you know what I mean? He can just be a little bit...
I can't find it. I'll have to do some research on that.
John,
Thank
you know how you can be if I keep you waiting too long.
I was deciding whether or not to quit out of the chat room, like Kim.
Oh, my God. I'm telling you.
Much like John Rothman, I'll mention that I appreciate everything I'm paid. I like how he works that into every segment each week. Also, I appreciate Teresa Strasser for calling him out immediately the day that she met him for taking over and hijacking your show.
Well, I called him out, and then she returned to it, and it was pretty funny.
Yeah, but she picked up on it pretty quick, and she made some really funny jokes about it.
I will say this about, was it yesterday? Oh, Wednesday is when Rothman's here. I'll say this about Wednesday's show. My favorite part was me yelling at Rothman about hijacking the segment. It was, I haven't even watched it back. But
Did you see what I said in the chat?
No, what did you say?
Oh, he just misses hijacking Pat Thurston's show.
Okay. But that was, just remembering the show, again, I haven't gone back to watch it, but remembering Wednesday's show, my favorite part is me yelling at Rothman. Twice. First, I yell at him for hijacking the show. Then he hijacks it again, and I go back and I go, I can't believe you're hijacking it again after I've just reprimanded you for hijacking it the first time.
As one of his former producers, it just warmed my heart.
It was a lot of fun. I just loved it. I loved it. I love Rothman. I love that whole world. Wes, thank you for a 5 spot.
Big shout out.
Can't get over it. Did you Google Kathy McKinney Lakeside PE?
I haven't been able to find what Lakeside PE is, but I'm working on it.
It's probably
John Daly,
physical education on the side of a lake.
Well, I'll go with that for now. I don't know if I would ding it.
That's just speculation.
Yeah, thank you.
That's pure speculation.
What are we going to do, Kim?
Oh, she has a YouTube channel, Kathy McKinney Lakeside PE. She's on the YouTube. Awesome.
Oh, cool. Oh, does she?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she teaches PE at Lakeside High School or something.
Yeah, it is. Lakeside School, physical education. I'm sure that's what it is.
Yeah, she is. PE back to school night. Absolutely.
That wasn't too far off.
Yeah.
No, very strong, as a matter of fact. Well done. Well done.
And it's not that I'm ornery. It's just that I'm fitting this into my day with my other jobs.
I am very sorry, John.
I have a busy week.
Hey, it's my pleasure, but I got to fit it in,
I'd be willing to bet my lunch that there's alcohol
I don't
involved.
think there's alcohol yet, but maybe that's part of what he has to fit in.
I got meetings,
Yeah. Kim, let me get back to you. What should we do here, Kim?
The Mark Thompson Show.
Well, it's 11:38, so we've kind of blown past news, and I think if we're going to get to Elex on time, we got to get into this Florida thing.
All right, Albert, are you good with that?
Albert,
yeah,
you are the.
I was going to break in with that same exact sentiment from Kim. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm very excited about Lakeside PE now. I feel they, really done a great job. I'm off at Maud Day, who stepped up with the matching. It's been a pretty good day so far with that. Thank you, everybody. We are crowdfunded, as you know, in the main. There is no way to keep us on the air without you. Many of you have generously jumped onto our Patreon and PayPal pages through the links that are usually at the bottom of every video, and also certainly they're at themarkthompsonshow.com. And so if you haven't yet, at least explore that as a possibility, for whatever you pay for a Starbucks or other coffee a week, you could toss us something. And, I hate to have to turn the show occasionally into a PBS pledge drive, but honestly, it's the only way we stay on. And it does beat having to run Cars for Kids spots, which is what we had to do at KGO.
Don't make me sing it.
This show came from a radio station called KJO. It was a big talk radio, news talk. We had great guests, and we still try to get you great guests and good conversation here. I hurried home from getting my haircut just to be home for Florida. Katie, a nice job.
Yeah.
Well, let's do it. We first welcome in for Florida the former producer of this show. He moved on, and now he's just kind of squeezing us in, he tells us.
Fabulous producer, John
Yeah,
Daly.
it's John Daly, everybody. How about it, John?
I know we were late on time, but you appreciate when I bring something to the party. So I just want to say, not that it's a contest. I too was raised in a small town, cow and chicken town, and had blinking red lights at the intersections. We weren't white enough to be considered white, and our neighbor called my mom a Persian bee when she stopped the neighbor's kid from urinating on her hedges. So it's not a competition with Nikki Haley. But, she's not the only
I'd rather, I'll say this, vote for you than Nikki Haley, though. Not even close.
But you know what my parents' response to that was? Teaching us the realities of racism.
John, it's a racist country. You have to understand it.
That's more
Don't try to pretend it
close.
doesn't.
It's close. It's close.
Yeah, I don't.
You got to do more sing-songy if it's Persian. Go to Beverly Hills.
Give me a little bit of it. Give me a little bit of it.
Oh, hello, my friend. How are you? It's good to see you. It has to be kind of extended like this. It's like, I am your friend. Hello.
It sounded a little Latino in there, but I think it.
Well, if you do, you have to have like a sing-song. Like, oh, you're my friend. Like, it's not guttural. The language
John,
is not
somebody's
guttural.
peeing on our azaleas again.
Yeah.
Why do they pee on our azaleas, John?
Yeah. I saw my mom treated like crap in the 80s. I'm just going to be real. Like, that's what I witnessed growing up.
If you were Iranian or Persian,
and we didn't talk about it.
Coming off of the Iranian hostage situation in 1979, was that?
Yep.
I think.
It
was, you had to.
Late 78.
You couldn't say, I'm from Iran. You just couldn't say it.
You still don't do it.
I mean, it's just the same.
9/11, we were doing so well for a while there, and then 9/11 happened. Right back in it.
All right, everyone. He's here for it. You're here for it. We're all here for it. Albert has curated it. This is Friday Fabulous Florida.
It's time for Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
A look at the weirdest stories from our weirdest state.
I want to thank everybody who sent this article to us when this news broke. So many of our viewers and listeners sent this story from Florida. And indeed, one can see why. A Florida man has removed from his nose 150 live bugs.
What?
Yeah. And this is the other part of it.
I can't.
He didn't even know they were there.
What?
Yeah.
Please tell me you're not going to play the video, because Kim tried to put this on our show and I killed it. The video is
video and
nauseating.
pictures will not be included here.
Okay, the video is nauseating. You will lose your lunch.
Well,
There's
Albert handles
some things
all.
you just can't unsee,
He handles decisions on video and pictures. I will say that when I've mentioned that this is sent several times, when I've looked over the article, I have to spin past the picture. I cannot even look. But it took a few months, believe it or not, before Jacksonville doctors removed 150 live bugs in the larva stage from the nose and sinuses of a cancer survivor. The man had been feeling, quote, off, but it wasn't until his face and lips swelled that he sought help at the HCA Florida Memorial Hospital. I started getting nosebleeds. I started nosebleeds.
You didn't feel the things crawling around inside you?
They were eating him from the inside.
They're crawling around eating you. You don't feel that?
I'm so grossed out.
Reason that this place is fun.
Okay. I started getting nosebleeds, constant nosebleeds, he says. I couldn't even get up to go to the bathroom without my nose starting to bleed.
Oh, God.
When I went for the examination at the hospital, the doctor says, I see movement. The doctor, who was Dr. Carlson, was also being aided by the Dr. Emil Schulthausen III, who was called in specially for this, examined the man's nose with a camera, discovering dozens of bugs feeding on the inside of the nose and sinus cavity and shedding tissue and excrement.
What?
Albert, what does excrement mean?
It's bug poopy.
I asked Albert.
Oh my God.
I asked Albert. I don't need the smartest people in the class answering every question.
See, Kim, that's why I didn't say anything.
I asked Albert.
Why are you yelling?
Yield to Albert.
It comes out the back, Mark. That's
All
right.
right. All right.
Albert, thank you.
You shouldn't S where you eat.
Dr. Carlson said that he saw all of this going on, shedding tissue and excrement, and that's what spurred the man's inflammation.
People in the chat
Larger,
are asking what kind
Mama
of bugs.
wants what kind of bugs they want to know. Yeah.
size-wise, there are variations, but the larger ones were as big as the end of a pinky, said the doctor. There were certain larvae inside the nose that were scurrying around and looking for places to feed.
No.
Others had burrowed into tissue.
Excuse
Carlson
me, are you eating
said,
this? Is this yours?
Carlson said his team tried to remove the bugs with a suction, but when that got clogged, they used different instruments to pluck them out. The news footage is graphic, and we will not burden you with it here. But the bugs were crawling inside the man's face. They were right up against his skull base, said the doctor. Right under the brain, said the doctor.
You can see why the video got to me. It takes a lot
They
to
had
get
gone
to me.
through to a point that could have killed him, the doctor said.
Oh, gross.
The question as to what kind of bugs they were is not one that I've forgotten, but it is one that I cannot answer with utter certitude at this point, or certainty, because of the fact that that entire crew pulled out of this man's nose has been sent to an epidemiologist for identification.
Yowza said, did the man never blow his nose? I mean, wouldn't you, first of all, wouldn't you feel something moving in your nose? And
yes, I agree.
If you blew your nose, wouldn't you realize your tissue was moving?
I mean, I know we're not supposed to pick our nose, but I'd give that guy a pass.
Right. Well, the doctor said that in his lengthy career as an ear, nose, and throat specialist, he had not seen a case like this documented in the United States. It took this Florida man to provide him with an example.
We've never seen anything like this.
Katie might go back to the hair salon.
There's never been anything like this.
Yes. Nothing in our history.
There is nothing in our history
Thank
that
you, Jim.
quite compares to this.
There was a 54-year-old female farmer from a rural area with this same condition, with open wounds and poor hygiene is what caused it there.
Yeah, he says in the video that he's going to be better about washing his hands because he spent a lot of time like around lakes and fishing and putting his hand in the mud.
Yeah.
Touching
Well,
his
it's we wish him well, and I'm glad that he's I got that, William. He's not a very bright guy.
What?
All right. Very well
John
done.
Watson wants to know how he got him inside his nose. Perhaps through injection?
Yeah, we're gonna have to just move on from this one.
I
There's
think
some other
that's
way.
right. Exactly.
Albert, thank you.
We've
Sounds like
spent a
you-
little too long here.
Yeah, thank you. We're running way behind, and if you guys have supplemental questions, you should Google it. Exactly. A Florida man chops off his paraplegic friend's feet with a hatchet.
Oh, that's better.
Are you kidding me?
What the hell kind of Florida is this?
Oh my
There's
God!
never been anything like
I
this.
Chop
love
off his
it.
nose
Wow.
despite his face.
This is in bizarre series of incidents with a man trying to cash in on an insurance policy by orchestrating this gruesome scheme, really, with farm equipment used to produce this accident to then claim money from an insurance company.
Ooh, it's a wild idea, but it just might work.
The investigation involved a man from Willow Springs who had supposedly lost his feet in a staged mishap with a brush hog. That's a rotary mower. You're seeing it there. Commonly attached to tractors. The severed feet were lost, remained elusive even to the responding medics and law enforcement officers. They couldn't find them. as the investigation unfolded, there was a sense that something was wrong. The man who is the severed, the severed feet were real, but this was not an accident. So they found the severed feet, right, Albert? They ultimately produced the severed feet.
Yeah, it was all fabricated.
Right, but they're real. I mean, they were really severed feet. The man who is involved in this is a known paraplegic in his 60s. He had tourniquets on his legs.
Ooh.
That's not
raising
fake.
immediate questions about who had placed them there after the alleged incident.
It's not
In other
fake.
words,
That's
right.
real.
I mean, when the medics get there and you already have tourniquets on your legs. The man wasn't acting alone. Authorities discovered that a visitor from Florida had journeyed to this place with a hatchet, executing this elaborate plan that the guy came up with to commit insurance fraud.
A visitor from Florida. You just like, I'm going to bring my hatchet or my machete.
Yeah.
There's
What
a
is it today?
reason that this place is fun.
And so in the, in the way the plan was hatched, the guy's feet were chopped off and the cuts were unnaturally clean. So they kind of right away during the investigation realized, oh, this wasn't the result of this thing going bad. And it became clear that this was a staged incident to make an insurance claim.
That's a rookie mistake.
A rookie mistake, and you don't have any feet now.
Yeah, you don't want to be Dexter in that situation.
What happened with the feet is that a relative eventually discovered them in a bucket.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And everybody lived happily ever after. All right, there you go. All right. A
Mark
Florida
Thompson
man,
story time.
a
Woohoo.
Florida man takes on a bizarre challenge of eating raw chicken every day.
No.
This
Every
is
story's going to make us puke today.
What's going on?
Oh my God!
This is no picnic, no summer camp.
John is not giving his last name. Has been filming himself eating slabs of raw chicken and chugging raw eggs for his 400,000 Instagram followers for more than a month now.
Is that not like asking for listeria?
Seems like it's asking for a lot of bad things.
Salmonella.
Eating raw chicken is strongly discouraged.
Yeah.
It can cause bloody diarrhea, fever,
Ew.
vomiting, stomach cramps, parasites, and a partridge in a pear tree.
Ask your
But they
doctor
are
if eating
doing
raw
it.
chicken is right for you.
This isn't the first time John has experimented with raw meat. In 2021, John said that he would sit outside Whole Foods and try different raw meats, including beef, kangaroo, and veal brain. This is all for his
Ew.
Instagram follower.
He knows where the Whole Foods
You do
are.
not know what you are talking about.
I really got into researching weird diets from around the world and got into many YouTube rabbit holes about how eating meat is actually really healthy and became obsessed. Well, if that's the story you're going with.
Quesadilla
Did you
says
really
it's the-
just do that?
Yeah.
It's the salmonella challenge.
Yeah.
You do not know what you are talking about.
Exactly. Good luck to him. Meanwhile, a Florida man booted from a Hooters before he goes on a residential rampage. And then the homeowner and cops stop his rampage. He tried to break into this Florida home, dropped his mom's debit card on the driveway, which is never again, not a well thought through caper during the crime. And then ultimately he was arrested as he was trying to break into this Cape Coral home. There he is in a police photo that, I'll give it a 5 on a 10 scale. You know, not
so
glamorous, but not as awful as we've seen.
He could pass for the cop, actually.
He absolutely
That's
could.
true.
Albert is precisely right. Hugh McAmenham, 44, arrested after he tried to break into that home in Cape Coral. He left a path of destruction in his wake, according to the cops. He had gone to a Hooters, refused to leave. He was disorderly, caused a ruckus, as they call it. And I'll ding ruckus. He targeted a local home all of a sudden for a break-in, and he knocked down portions of a 6-foot fence surrounding the property before he kicked in the front door. The homeowner was, anybody in Florida, the homeowner was, he had something in his, the homeowner had something in his hand. It would be a Florida, Texas. Think
Pipe.
about it. Gun. If you went gun, that's what we were looking for. Fired shots at the suspect. Arrested shortly after, charged with criminal mischief, property damage, burglary of an occupied structure, etc. He may not be going anywhere for a little while. Florida pair charged with murder after a sex-for-hire car theft plot went awry. Wow. Jessica Long and Michael Montgomery. They're arrested in connection to the killing of Wayne Barlow. Oh my God, Albert. This sounds awful, and really I'd like to read about it, but this won't open.
This Friday Fabulous Florida is storied and legendary. This will go
is.
down in history as the one that stands out.
Anyway, these two are charged with murder after they had a sex-for-hire car theft plot that went bad.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Jessica Long and Michael Montgomery. Back to a Florida guy taking a stolen Amazon van on a 20-mile joyride.
There's Florida.
That is why your package is late, everybody. Right there. He's behind bars now, but before they got him, he stole an Amazon delivery van from a driver in Ormond Beach, took it for a joyride. And he told deputies he was delivering a package on Creek Bluff Way. And there he is. As it turns out, he was not delivering packages.
What was he thinking?
The Amazon manager contacted deputies because he was able to track the vehicle, watch the surveillance footage from inside. You know, those Amazon trucks are all jacked up with that stuff.
It doesn't look like there's a lot of thinking going on there.
Yeah, the 35-year-old taken into custody. They got him at the Circle K, everybody. Yeah, you know it. Out there on State Route 40 and U.S. Route 17 in Pearson. You know where that is, John. So we have quite the group. And it's true, someone mentioned the only thing missing is an alligator and a Waffle House story. Well, for gator, it's not gator season. It's still winter. So that's what the gators
So they're not mating.
They're not mating, but then when they come out, there will be plenty of gators. I want to remind you of the stories you heard a bit of, and you, as do we, are charged with the responsibility of picking a favorite. We don't want to do it, but it is in the bylaws of the show. Florida man has 150 live bugs removed from his nose, didn't even know they were there. Florida dude chops off his friend's feet with a hatchet in a macabre insurance scam. I'll ding macabre. The bizarre challenge of eating raw chicken every day is what another Florida man is doing. The dude booted from a Hooters before then trying to break into a residence where an armed homeowner confronted him. He was arrested. The sex-for-hire car theft plot that went bad. The Florida man who stole an Amazon van and took the cops on a 20-mile joyride. We don't want to pick a favorite, but we must, as I say, and I go to you, Kim. What do you think?
Kim, how are you?
Given that there's no gators this time around, I'm going with utter stupidity. And I feel the winner of the utter stupidity contest would be the foot chopper.
Wow, the foot chopper. Fine choice. I didn't, and in my mind, I predict, this is just because I like to do this kind of thing, like predict
gamble.
What people, gamble, exactly. I wish that we could gamble on what people are going to pick. And I had not put Kim on that. So Kim, bravo. Let's go to John Daly to hear what his favorite is as well.
I think I'm inspired. I'm inspired by the Amazon package chase. Yeah.
You like the 20-mile or 20, whatever it was?
Yeah.
How do you think they explain that? They're like, oh yeah, this guy went like AWOL and some ticket on
it's like a Florida marathon.
Yeah.
I like that.
Albert, what's leading in the chat? There is a live vote going on right now.
Yes, the live vote. In the lead is 150 friends up Florida man's nose. Second is
Albert, thank you.
chopper. Foot Chopper, followed by Amazon Joyride, and then the raw chicken guy. I'm going with the raw chicken guy because I just want to see how it plays out. I want to see how many days he makes it, and I want to. We will have a follow up. This will be a Florida follow up, which has
good. All right, well that's something to look forward to.
An FFU.
We might have to bring Brett in case the Brett.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Brett. Yeah. Actually, Brett sent me a note just this week. I think there'll be a lot of retching in that guy's future, but I might be wrong. I don't know, or diarrhea or something. Nothing good. I hate to go with the crowd, but I'm going to do it. I think the guy with 150 live bugs up his nose and he didn't even know it. I'm sorry. I think that's that's my favorite anyway.
I'm still nauseous from seeing the video yesterday. And I just blew past the warning. I didn't even look at the warning because nothing really phases me. You know, I'm kind of dead inside. And I started watching that video and I felt ill for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That's not fake. That's real.
Exactly. That's why it's concerning. That's Friday Fabulous Florida for today.
This has been Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
Y'all come back now here.
John, I want to thank you for making time in your schedule. I know you are very put upon.
I have a busy
week. Well, I understand.
I do have a show to prep, but I have priorities.
The after party live. I love it. I really do.
And make time for friends.
I think I listened to the whole show yesterday, start to finish.
Oh, really? That was a good one. I think it was chock-a-block.
It was good. Very good. A lot of
you said you'd do a 4-hour show every day, but KGO couldn't get you to do a 3-hour show.
No, they could not.
People would not stop complaining about it to me.
It was, I guess that's a good sign. I mean, if they want more of you, it's a good sign.
Yeah.
But
screening calls for Rothman for 4 hours is like that was tough. I'm glad Mark, your show.
That's like doing time. That's doing time. I used to do that overnight from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. screening his phone calls.
Just 4-hour shows are.
I'm an angry Republican.
We didn't do a lot of calls on my show.
No.
Well, it's a different format.
Well, I also told Albert, and I told the audience this too. There's nothing I tell Albert I didn't tell the audience. I'm ready to take as many calls as you want. I'll take calls all day.
But Albert will vouch for me.
They got to be good calls.
When you don't prompt somebody, you get a lot of garbage calls, right, Albert? You get garbage like customer service calls. I want to complain about
entertaining for us
or something like that.
Yeah, we're just laughing at whatever they're saying. Like, you're not going on.
Right.
Yeah, I just don't.
Good calls don't spontaneously happen on talk radio. They just don't.
You do have to. You
have to work
on some level.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, the comment
I'm very
section.
unhappy with everything I've heard today.
Hey, I took that call on Nikki's show.
That actually was a call from Nikki, and when I heard it, I was listening live. I said to John, I want that drop. I want that drop on my show.
She goes on.
I'm very unhappy with everything I've heard today.
She says Gavin Newsom is not her daddy. Yeah, Gavin Newsom is not her daddy.
She was a feisty lady, and we used to lead the second hour on the radio with that. Remember over the music bed?
She didn't like that all the TV anchors.
Everything I've heard today on your show.
She didn't like that all the TV anchors are smiling all the time.
Yeah.
Why are they always
It's good.
smiling?
You know what? I have mad respect for people who are irritated. So, John, go be a big star. See you. Thank you for being here.
Have a great day.
That's John Daly, everybody.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Kim, you are, as you're aware, so important in this show.
Thank you, but I think we have to skip news and go straight to Elex.
Fridays are just a very crowded day. So I'm really excited to talk to this guy. And I want to get everybody up to speed on where you can follow Elex and also how you can watch his show. The issue is. So we'll make sure we get that, Kim. If it's unclear on any level, please make sure that we get it. Because I feel as though this is a piece of what Elex Michaelson can do, some of what you hear here. He has great access and great takes on things, and he's so great to come join us this Friday with some takes on politics and what's happening in the state of California. Elex Michaelson, everybody, from Fox in Los Angeles. Yeah.
Thanks, Mark. Great to be with you. Happy Friday.
Yeah, you too, my friend. The issue is with Elex is you do it, it airs at different times in different places across California, right?
It does. So you can find the show and all the air times at theissueisshow.com. I also post it on my YouTube page, which is youtube.com/Elex Michaelson. And we put it out as a podcast for people that prefer that if they're driving in the car. And you just search for The Issue Is wherever you get your podcasts.
Love it. We'll mention it again at the end of the show. Let me ask you about this Alabama ruling, the ruling against IVF. Now you see and hear certain members of the GOP, I'm talking about Congress people, senators, you even find it just in the world of punditry, sort of backpedaling from this or stepping away from it as even
Trump,
too extreme.
Trump just put something out about it in the last few minutes. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, that's the breaking news. We always had breaking news. Last week we had breaking news when we were on together. But
yes. So Trump, fill me in on what Trump said, and then tell me what you think the political repercussions
in favor of. He supports IVF and thinks that there should be legal protections in place in Alabama for IVF.
And will this kind of thing remind people of the Dobbs decision, of the rollback of Roe in such a way that it will matter in politics, or do people not need a reminder? Give me a sense of what the repercussions are moving forward.
I mean, how does it not remind people, right? This is the sort of thing that you probably wouldn't be talking about without that Dobbs decision. I mean, this is, obviously, it really affects a lot of people's lives in a very, very personal way. And IVF is such a meaningful thing for couples who can't get pregnant, and especially LGBTQ couples. That's maybe the only way that they're able to get pregnant. So, not just making this a crass political argument, but if we are going to take a moment and make it a crass political argument, it's a big win for the Democrats. Since this abortion issue has been brought up with the Dobbs decision in election after election around the country, when the issue is abortion rights, the Democrats have won. And that issue, even in red states, when it's just about that issue, voters have overwhelmingly chosen the idea of freedom of choice. It's not just Democrats having sex, like Republicans are having sex too. And a lot of them don't want to have babies that they don't want to have. And so there is nothing more personal than this issue, which is why it animates so many people. And clearly there's a lot of people on the right that have been animated by the abortion issue for such a long time, which is why this happened. And this sort of 50-year struggle by activists on the right to get to the point where they were able to overturn Roe v. Wade. But it is, of all of the issues on the table that the Biden administration would want to be talking about politically right now, abortion is number one.
I speak often of the rise of a Christian theocracy. I think this is fitting into the agenda items on such a theocracy. I think you see it in court decisions at the Supreme Court. I think you'll see it increasingly in legislatures across the country. It's a real threat to a country that I celebrate the secularism of the United States. And it makes me sad to see the infestation of biblical references in legal judgments and in legislative decision-making. But the justice who ruled that embryos are children appeared on a QAnon conspiracist show. This Alabama Chief Justice Tom Parker said on the show that he was a proponent of the Seven Mountains Mandate. That's an explicitly theocratic doctrine at the heart of Christian nationalism. You see in Alabama, I guess what I'm getting at, the essence of all of this on some level.
And it is a reminder as people vote. Obviously, Alabama elects their own judges, and that's its own thing. But one of the most important roles of the president is not only appointing Supreme Court justices, which we all see and hear, and who knows how many vacancies there'll be the next time around, but it's all the rest of the judges all over the country that interpret a lot of this law, is driven by the appointments of the president and the confirmations of the Senate. And so when you think about, what are voting issues that actually impact your life, who controls the federal judiciary in terms of actually determining what we do is one of the most important things. And especially now in a situation where our Congress is so dysfunctional and not able to do all that much, this is something that they can do. And right now, because you do have a Democratic president and a barely Democratic Senate, one of the only things they're able to do is they're able to get a lot of judges in. But so was Trump when he was working with Mitch McConnell. And the impact of that will all be felt for generations. I mean, these 3 justices that Donald Trump appointed to the Supreme Court that overturned Roe v. Wade, they're probably going to be there for the next 30 years. So probably the most important part of his legacy long term is them.
I'm so glad you underscore this, because with an inability to actually get anything done at a legislative level, it is the courts that are making laws and making the culture, reshaping the culture in America. So I love that you talk about that. Let me ask you about something you've been so close to. I mean, you do so much in the way of politics, I think, across a really broad spectrum, but you moderated one of the debates, and you're really close to California politics in so many ways. What's happening? I've seen that Garvey has achieved maybe that position that he wanted. He wasn't going to get pole position, but he'd get, second car in the race type thing.
So we're talking about, of course, the California Senate race for U.S. Senate. The candidates we're looking at is Adam Schiff, who's so well known and looks like in every single poll he's been at #1 with a little bit of distance. He has raised the most money, has the most endorsements, and it seems like he's checked a box to make it to the next stop. In California, the top 2 candidates advance after the primary, regardless of party. And so in every recent poll, it seems like there's a really close battle for second between Steve Garvey, the Republican, former Dodger, former Padre, and Katie Porter, the Democratic Congresswoman from Irvine, well known for her whiteboards and taking on corporate behemoths. Recently, the polls seem to be showing that Steve Garvey may started to have some distance with Katie Porter. There was a new poll that came out from PPIC late last night, which is largely seen as one of the most respected polls. It actually shows Porter up by a point, which is within the statistical margin of error, but essentially it's really close for second. Adam Schiff is doing everything he humanly can to try to lift up Steve Garvey's campaign, spending millions of dollars on multiple ads, trying to talk about Steve Garvey. Steve Garvey doesn't have enough money himself to run ads. So basically, the only way his message is getting out there is through Adam Schiff ads. There is now Adam Schiff super PACs disconnected from the campaign that are also running ads about Steve Garvey, and some Adam Schiff super PACs that are running negative ads about Katie Porter, which she says are not factual. And there have been some questions about how factual some of that stuff is. So the momentum seems to be going in Steve Garvey's way, but we'll see if Katie Porter is able to withstand that and see what her closing argument is. I'm interviewing her today for our political show, The Issue Is, and it'll be interesting to hear the way that she sees things. But it definitely feels like she's, sort of having to fight back attacks on a lot of different fronts right now.
Schiff and Porter then split Democrats and just in general, and I guess, left-leaning independents.
Yeah.
And Garvey gets what is then just a galvanized GOP vote. Is that how it kind of shakes out?
Right. And then there's also Barbara Lee in the race, too, who, is pulling maybe 10%, 9%. I think there's a strong argument that if Barbara Lee wasn't in the race, that Porter would probably be able to get a big chunk of that, and they may be able to box out Garvey. But if you're splitting it among 3, and then you have Garvey and he's able to just get all the Republicans behind him, there's a clear argument that he makes it. People think of California, of course, as this deep blue state, a state where Joe Biden won by 30 points, and it is. But there's also billions of Republicans here, and because our state is so big, there's actually more Republicans that live in California than live in any other state. And so if Garvey is able to secure 25, 30%, which is basically the amount of Republicans in the state, that could be enough to get him into the top 2. And Schiff thinks that there is no way that Steve Garvey is able to win a general election in California as a Republican, which is why he's working so hard to run against him. And it is unclear what would happen if he was running against Katie Porter. It's also unclear what Republicans would do in this state. Those millions of Republicans, if their only choice is Adam Schiff or Katie Porter, and then you've got, Pencil Neck, in their words, lying criminal who went after Donald Trump and tried to impeach him, or Katie Porter, the single mom feminist who's got a whiteboard going after corporate America and is Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas's protege. So that's not a great thing. You're like
they can play the hits. Always they'll play the hits. Right?
Watching, Republican in California, you don't necessarily find a home there. And so who do you vote for in that scenario? Could be really interesting and a real wild card if that turns out to be the race.
Yeah, something that came up as a California issue, just to all of these candidates to whom you've referred, is nuclear, nuclear power stations and nuclear plants, and you see, honestly, support for nuclear in many sectors of California, right? But from a political perspective, where do these candidates come down on this? They're really against nuclear energy. I'd seen, isn't that
Porter
at least
said
where
she's
they are
for nuclear fission energy, which is, she says, is safer. Schiff is for the keeping Diablo Canyon, which is a nuclear power plant, online for now, but slowly bringing it off. It's an interesting issue because if you're really pro green technology, nuclear power is pretty green. It gives you a lot of power, and there's also innovations though in nuclear that may be different in changing the debate. People like Bill Gates actually funding some of this work to do nuclear in a cleaner way. A lot of these nuclear power plants are from like 40, 50 years ago, and they're using very old technology. So we're in a place where we need a lot of power in this state. And solar technology, wind technology, even that can be expensive and hard and not necessarily getting everything that you need. Is nuclear a solution? And in some ways it is splitting some of the traditional Democrats. Of course, there's that fear though, that what happens if there's an accident and then you have, a nuclear waste pouring in your state, and that still freaks a lot of people out, and maybe for good reason.
Yeah, you've got the Fukushima situation or whatever,
Right.
Anyway, and it also comes in the shadow of PG&E's report to investors that they had a huge quarter and a huge year over year. They're up 25% in terms of profits. That we touched on yesterday, and we got a blast from the chat of people talking about the fact that PG&E is just it's disrespected those who have no other choice, and it's been a blight on the life of so many Californians, particularly Northern Californians who deal with PG&E.
And you think about how many fires they've been responsible for because
killed
of
people.
their mismanagement of stuff, and then of course California taxpayers are so often on the hook of that, or all of the blackouts that happen because they can't take care of what they're doing. I think there are a lot of people in Southern California that celebrate the fact that PG&E doesn't offer service down here.
Let me get you to the Trump, Nikki Haley thing. We were talking about this just last hour. It seems a foregone conclusion that Trump will finish this up. And Kim was noting that Nikki Haley has said that she'll stay in the race. Give me your sense of this and evaluate these two people moving forward.
Yeah, we just had Nikki Haley on The Issue Is 2 weeks ago. So I sat down with her and had a long chat and got to observe what she's like in person. And that was interesting. I think, look, there are so many question marks about Donald Trump. I guess Nikki Haley is making the bet that what happens if there's a health crisis with an overweight 70+ man who doesn't exercise. His diet is made up of Diet Coke and McDonald's.
That said, by the way, those people never die. I'm telling you.
I know. It's like him
I'll die on an exercise machine. Trump will bury me. Right.
So there's that. There's the legal drama of what's going to happen with that. The business drama that now he owes all this money. So I think, the idea of maybe just hanging around and having the second most delegates in case something happens, maybe is her strategy. It doesn't look like she's going to be the VP at this point. Maybe she thinks if Trump loses, she gets to do an I told you so campaign for the Republican campaign the next time around. As long as she's got donors that are giving her money, there's an old saying in politics that campaigns don't end, they just run out of money. And she hasn't run out of money. There is a sizable minority. It's not the majority. It's not enough to win the nomination, but there are millions of Republicans that don't like Donald Trump and that are worried that he's going to lose. And many of them are rich. It's the sort of country club Republicans that you think of that like Ronald Reagan and Steve Garvey hung out with back in the 1980s that are uncomfortable with this whole thing. And they're funding her and giving her money to keep this thing going. So, what else is she going to do? I mean, if she gets out of it, she loses most of her relevance. So I think that for a while, as long as she's got the money, I think she's going to keep going at least through Super Tuesday, which is March 5th, where California and so many other states are voting.
Well, she'll lose in her home state, but it almost doesn't, based on what you've just said, I'm thinking it almost doesn't really matter. You're saying that that's sort of baked in. We get it. But she's got money and she's got at least that much momentum. And even though she'll lose in South Carolina, it won't blunt that momentum in any way that's not anticipated. Is that a kind of a fair way to put it?
I think they've now baked into the equation that she's going to lose her home state. By the way, no nominee in this sort of scenario has ever lost their home state. So that's a pretty bad sign for actually winning or having a path. I mean, when I asked her on the show 2 weeks ago, what's the path to win? What state do you win to win? And she didn't name a single state. So that gives you a sense of sort of where they're thinking. I don't know. What do you think?
I think that, you've assessed it perfectly. I think that your notion that there's no traditional path to victory is a fair way to assess it. I just don't see it. Now, these are truly strange times politically, and something could happen, but it's a little bit of a slow-moving Hail Mary for her to hang in with this. So I want to ask you about what Biden has done with the failure of the, and I know we only have another minute or two, with the failure of the border policy to be voted on in the House, and essentially something coming out of the Senate that does have a lot of bipartisan aspects, has a very strong dose of GOP constricting essentially the ways in which you can get asylum into this country. So it's becoming a lot harder to get that. But that bill, really DOA. So Biden, through executive order, is trying to do things at the border. Give us a sense of what's going on there.
Yeah, and that's something else we're going to be talking about on the issue is this week. My colleague Bill Maloogian, who's been there and reporting more than anybody else for years from the border. What's really interesting is that Bill has been doing his reporting this past week from the California border because Texas has moved so aggressively with Greg Abbott on all these measures to try to basically do what the federal government isn't, with a lot of razor wire and very aggressive moves from the Texas National Guard to try to close up the border at Texas. So what you're seeing is that a lot of migrants now are moving from Texas to California, and places like Jacumba are seeing a rise of migrants. In California, we've seen in the last year a 500% increase in Chinese migrants. There's been a big, huge influx in the last month or so of people coming from China trying to get to California, which is a really interesting dynamic at play. And so, in some ways, Biden politically calling the bluff of the Republicans makes them own this issue a little more and takes some of it off of him. But at the end of the day, most voters are going to say he's the president. What did he do? And so you could see this, these executive actions, and whether they work or not, we'll see. But it seems like the move by Republicans to move a lot of these people into these so-called sanctuary states and sanctuary cities has changed the political dynamics of this. As you've seen a lot of these Democratic cities sort of overrun without the funds to take care of a lot of these people that are coming in. And the politics of this is starting to change from something that maybe was just covered on Fox News Channel to now that's being covered by some other, more mainstream traditional news outlets.
Those governors successfully, and the governors of those states that you're talking about, successfully brought the rest of the country into this conversation in ways, as you say, that transcend any kind of right-wing media.
And that a lot of people called out as, the governor of California called it out as using immigrants as political pawns and using, really found that incredibly disgusting and distressing to do that. But just from a raw politics perspective, it looks like it worked.
I think that both are true. I mean, that they were used as political pawns, and that there's a real problem. So I want to mention again here with our last minute, your shows. The Issue is a great weekly show. It's seen on different stations around California. And again, just go through again your social and where people can follow the great Elex Michaelson.
Thank you so much. So I'm on, if anybody's in Los Angeles, I anchor the Fox 11 News at 5, 6, and 10 p.m. every weeknight. We'll hope you join us for that. The Issue is our statewide show, airs on Fox 11 on Friday nights at 10:30 and airs across the state. You can go to theissueisshow.com for more airtimes or to watch the show, my YouTube page, youtube.com/Elex Michaelson. We put it out as a podcast. Search for The Issue Is, and then find me in social media. My name's Elex with an E, so it's ELEX. On Twitter, there's an _ Michaelson, but the rest of it's just my name, Elex Michaelson. Would love to interact with you and join in this journey. And as you know, Mark, we've got to find different ways to get this information out in a lot of different places. So I'm spending my time not only doing the TV stuff, but the Instagram clips and the TikToks and I mean, there's like so many ways to get stuff out.
I know you're making me feel awful about how I'm not, my footprint's not big enough. Here is Alex's stuff. You can see him on YouTube and his YouTube channel. Get on over there. I promised I'd get you out of here by 12:25. It's 12:24:29. I will see you soon. Elex Michaelson, everybody. Love you, pal. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark. Right. Have a great one.
You too.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Kim, your magical news. You can luxuriate. You can breathe into it. It's going to be good, right, Albert? Is that cool? We got plenty of time.
Albert, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, supersized news.
Supersized news.
Kim, how are you?
Try to pack everything you were going to pack into those other newscasts into this now expanded newscast. And after that, the Culture Blaster Michael Snyder will be here on movies. And smash the like button in the meantime. It does help us.
Iron rod.
Yeah. Give us a thumbs up when you watch things in replay. Give us a thumbs up. Smash it
with your iron rod.
With your iron rod or like a boss, but smashing is fully supported by this program. All right. So we'll do. You have something before you the news?
No.
Okay. Kim's news, then the Culture Blaster. Next. Mark Thompson Show.
You found the Mark Thompson Show. You lucky mother.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister, and let's talk about what Elex Michaelson just broke on the show, which is that former President Trump is coming out, looks like, in support of IVF. Yeah, that's the latest today. Apparently, he is saying he supports IVF after this Alabama Supreme Court ruling. He responded today to that IVF ruling by saying he supports the availability of IVF and calling on the Alabama legislature to act quickly and find an immediate solution to preserve its availability in the state. And here's what he said, Mr. Trump. We want to make it easier for mothers and fathers to have babies, not harder. That includes supporting the availability of fertility treatments like IVF in every state in America. This is what he posted on the Truth Social platform today. And in capitals, overwhelming majority of Americans, including the vast majority of Republicans, conservatives, Christians, and pro-life Americans, Trump said, I strongly support the availability of IVF for couples who are trying to have a precious baby. Interesting that is the stance that he would take. That is not the stance that Nikki Haley took. Another interesting story that just popped up less than an hour ago was that Justice Sonia Sotomayor apparently has now traveled with a medic. She is, I think, the oldest liberal judge on the panel. And apparently she is now, at least in this one instance, traveling with a medic. And that has led to calls for her to resign while a Democrat is in office so that someone else, maybe someone younger, can be appointed. It's an interesting story and one that we will continue to follow here on the Mark Thompson Show. Meanwhile, let's talk about what is going on in South Carolina tomorrow. We've got the primary where former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley continues to pull well behind former President Trump, and that is her home state. Voters in the South Carolina area will head to the polls tomorrow for the GOP primary. Haley, though, regardless of the outcome, has vowed to stay in the race as Trump's last serious Republican challenger, but Trump has maintained a double-digit lead, including one poll, putting him up by 35 points. It looks like she might get trounced in this one.
Looks like that Atlantic Ocean, though, is still in play. I'm just based on that graphic.
Well,
you get that Atlantic Ocean vote. You can get back into this thing, Nikki.
Well, just, make sure people know where South Carolina is.
Yeah, no, I like it.
California, we have to,
Yeah, we're on the other coast, exactly.
More than 500 sanctions are being imposed against Russia by the U.S. over the death of Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny and Moscow's invasion of Ukraine as well. While speaking from the White House, President Biden said Vladimir Putin must pay a price for his aggression abroad and repression at home. President Biden says Kyiv is still standing and remains free 2 years after Russian troops invaded the country. Former President Trump's legal team's request to delay the enforcement of penalties in his civil fraud trial are being, denied by the judge in this case. Yeah.
Good day, sir.
The defense team had asked for a delay of up to 30 days to allow for what they called an orderly post-judgment process. Trump was ordered to pay $355 million in fines.
Listen to me. I don't want to hear you.
Plus interest. I'm just saying, they're not going to let you off the hook for that, pal.
Yeah.
Sayonara, sucker.
All right, are we done with all the drops for Trump, please?
Cough up the cash, Trumpy Trump.
Oh, wow. It's a really tough
morning.
It's a tough morning.
A new California bill would expand a program that pays college tuition for students who otherwise couldn't afford it. East Los Angeles Assemblyman Miguel Santiago is among the lawmakers pushing for an expansion of the California Promise program. If the new bill is passed, more students would be covered under a tuition-free bachelor's degree plan. Santiago says college should be for everyone, despite their income. The California Promise. San Francisco police are changing how they pull drivers over. Here's an interesting case because now apparently they're going to focus on perhaps fewer infractions so that they make sure that they don't pull the wrong people over. Here's the story. Officers have been told to deprioritize 9 types of traffic stops that could be seen as racially biased. That includes things like broken taillights, expired registration, decals hanging from your window. The new policy comes from the Citizens Oversight Board and has to begin within 90 days. Members of the Police Officers Association may take legal action to either block it or delay it. And I'm just reminded of all the news stories I've read where officers pulled someone over for having expired tags and fill in the blank. Found a car full of, narcotics. Found weapons in the trunk. Found a dead body in the back seat. Whatever it may be. So I don't know if we want to not concentrate on...
you see it as something that can be useful.
Well, I don't know. In some cases, the argument is that some of these things have been used as an excuse to pull people over for their race or what have you. I'm kind of in the middle where I want the criminals caught, but I don't want people to be, to be pulled over just because of their color, driving while black, as they say.
Of course, yeah.
But on the other hand, I don't know. It's a hard one.
Randy says, how is driving with an expired registration tag on their car related to anything racial?
Why are you yelling?
I just felt like it would be more effective to yell.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate it.
But I don't know about it. It's interesting to me that the police union is
fighting against
pushing back on this. It's like, well, what do you guys care? I mean, why do you need to pull more people over?
I mean, 9 types of infractions. Either you're breaking the law or you aren't. Either the laws count for something or they don't.
This is why I'm not a cop. But if I were a cop, I'd never pull anybody over. I mean, you'd have to really, like, if you ran a light or something or whatever, then I'd pull you over. But otherwise, I'm not here to, on this ticky-tack stuff. I'm just not. I mean, it's not why I got into police work. Now, let me say this, though. First of all, Kim's point, which is, any of these stops could lead to a revelation of some kind on a huge crime or a child abduction type situation. I mean, who knows how serious it could be. But, by that standard, you should just spin the wheel and pull people over. You never know when it's going to turn into something big. Yeah. But what I would say is, and this is a sad fact, but when you pull people over, there are entire divisions of SFPD, of LAPD, et cetera, that are traffic division. They're designed to raise money, frankly. I mean, both to enforce the law, but also to generate funds. They support a lot of other police work. So even as we go, that's kind of, who wants to be a motorcycle cop? You're pulling over some guy for, not signaling or some, stupid stuff that's little. that honestly is the way a lot of revenue comes into these law enforcement agencies in different municipalities. So,
Fredrickson's Hardware in San Francisco, doing things a little bit differently. They're fighting crime in a whole new way. In some cases, they've actually screwed the merchandise into the wall.
Wow.
Yeah.
I am.
There's never been anything like this.
Can't just come in and rip stuff off the shelves at Fredrickson's. Items are locked down so they can't be swiped off shelves. And that includes pots and pans drilled into the display wall.
Oh my God.
Hey, if you're a hardware store, you got a drill, you can unscrew it.
I agree. Why not?
Screw it down. Lock it down.
You screwed it down, you can screw it out.
That's right.
Come on. Wow.
Yeah. Manager at Fredrickson's Hardware and Paint says shoplifting just got too bad. Endangering employees and customers as well. Not only are they screwing things down, shoppers are being escorted through the store during certain hours instead of just roaming around on their own.
Yeah,
so
good.
They've got an escort service going on there. I mean, not an escort service, an employee escorting you through the store.
Together that I've ever seen.
What kind of hardware store is this? They've got an escort walking you through the aisles, and
have you ever seen anything like this?
And you have to. The escort will likely unscrew your items if you want something.
I see.
I have never heard of something like that.
So you're telling me that the escort has a and I like that you've chosen the word escort, and you keep hammering the word escort.
And not an escort service, though, right?
Yeah,
that's right.
But it's a service provided by the store, an escort.
Albert, thank you.
Yeah.
Just to walk you through the aisles, you see. Yeah.
I'm here for the escort service.
There's a reason this place is fun.
It's an escort.
There's a reason that this place is fun.
There's an escort.
Show sent me over. They said that there was an escort service here.
Well,
I mean, how bad is it get if you have to screw your items to the wall? I don't know.
Well, you cannot say you love your country.
I think the country is that, though, now. It needs a
Just
little...
the items, right, though, Kim? Just the items are getting
You're just screwing the items, though, right, Kim?
Morning.
That's all. That's only screwing of the items. That's it.
Because you mentioned escort service, we wonder. Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot of screwing going on there.
Yes.
I took this picture of the Golden Gate Bridge on my way home from Monterey the other day.
Oh, my God. It's so beautiful.
You could see the North Tower through the lower hole of the South Tower. I thought it was kind of picturesque there in the sun.
There's never been anything like this.
Well,
Albert,
enjoy that.
She
The
said
last time I'm going over
hole.
that.
Isn't that something
Okay,
like to
you know what?
I mean, it really is.
Albert, thank you.
Just Albert's got me thinking about the...
Morning.
I don't know.
I can't. We cannot
I'm going to go back to the
wedge this out of the gutter.
Oh, my God.
But I can
she
tell
said
you.
wedge this out of the gutter.
They do this to me all the time. I don't know what the hell they do it for.
I haven't tried that one yet, Kim.
It was great. I loved it.
Yeah.
It could soon cost more to cross the Golden Gate Bridge.
Okay, let Kim speak, please.
This is not good. This is not fantastic. Drivers in the North Bay and San Francisco do not want this. Drivers with Fast Track pay $8.75. Those without pay an extra $1. But discussions are underway on possibly raising prices 35 to 50 cents annually over the next 5 years. That means that we could be, in 5 years, see a $13 Golden Gate Bridge toll. The Golden Gate Transportation District held a public hearing yesterday. The board is hoping to have a decision by March 22nd, with the first increase starting in July. And let me tell you, when they say they have a public hearing, they don't mean they really want to hear from you. They already know they're going to raise the prices. They do it every single time. I don't think I've ever seen them hold a public hearing on raising prices and decide not to raise prices. So, I mean,
that is true. That is true.
So the story should really read, prices are going up to cross the Golden Gate Bridge.
I have to say that it's astounding to see the tolls in the Bay Area for bridges, year after year go up so substantially. Why is there a Golden Gate Transit Service? Just maintain the bridge. Well, the Golden Gate Transit Service, I think, handles other transport besides just the bridge. Isn't that right, Kim? They handle the
bridge, the Golden Gate. Yeah, the Golden Gate Transportation District. Most of the money comes from bridge tolls, which subsidize then the Golden Gate Transit buses and the Golden Gate ferries. Yeah. So, and these are important methods of transport for people.
The Golden Gate Bridge District is answerable to no one, though, says Katie Lynch. And
It's ridiculous.
And in the smartass department, which I always like to visit, it's one of my favorite departments on this show, Edward Lee suggests, if you're crossing that bridge, you can afford it.
I might have to go around going to the Richmond Standard Fell on the Bay Bridge just, to avoid the Golden Gate.
If when Grandpa lived in San Francisco, I can tell you I paid $2 a trip. And I thought that was a lot. $2 a trip, and I'd cross the bridge like 4 times a day sometimes because I had stuff to do in the morning. I lived right over the bridge in Sausalito.
Yeah.
And, now you cross the bridge 4 times, and, that's,
well, and
that's real money.
Here's the thing now. Before, you used to have to roll to a stop, smile at the toll taker, and hand over your cash, right? Now, it's just a slow roll and a beep, beep, and the money flies out of some digital account somewhere, and you don't feel that you're handing $8.75 over when you cross the bridge.
That is a great point.
How are you?
Yes.
And so,
absolutely right.
You don't feel that pain when you have to hand the money to the person anyway.
Yeah, that was always the thing, handing the money. I forgot about that. They've completely eliminated that now.
It's all fast track. And if you don't have fast track, you roll through, they take a picture of your license plate, they send you the bill.
They've got you. Yeah, man. You are not skating on that
They're not
toll.
paying for toll takers anymore. That was a good job, and they can't afford that.
Yeah, well, it's the way it is.
Someone did this to spoil our Christmas.
Okay. Maybe.
We're going to Tahoe. Looking promising for the snowpack numbers. You mentioned this a bit yesterday. The California Department of Water Resources saying the snowpack is 85% of normal on February 23rd. That compared to 28% of normal January 1st. And while the recent storms gave us a boost, the snowpack has not entirely caught up from the deficit caused by a pretty dry fall. But we're doing okay.
Look at that scene, though. It's stunning. Just one of the most beautiful places in the world.
What can you tell us about the scene?
It's one of the most beautiful places in the world, Larry.
What can you tell us about the scene?
We still have a deficit. I thought about dinging deficit.
What can you tell us about the scene?
It's gorgeous. It really is. I think Lake Tahoe, I don't know. It depends what you want, but it literally may be the most beautiful place. I don't know. The most beautiful place. I mean, certainly one of the most beautiful places on the planet that I've ever seen.
I used to work with someone who was a world traveler, and she'd been all over the place. And I asked her once, what's your favorite? She's a nurse. I said, what's your favorite place that you've ever been? And she said the most beautiful is Lake Tahoe. Yeah. And this is when
the sun is behind the mountains at dusk, that glow is transcendent.
There's never been anything like this.
You can see that scene there. I don't mean to wax poetic about it too long, but it just really is. We're just so lucky, Yeah. So
we are. Yeah. This is one of my favorite views as you're coming down the ski slopes. Sometimes you just catch this open view of Lake Tahoe, and it's breathtaking.
Well, if you turn around on the chairlift up at Heavenly, or even the gondola, you just turn around and look, and there it is. It's just magnificent.
Yeah. Well, I would like to end on that note, but no. We're going to end on a Snooki note. Snooki news. Remember her? Snooki from the Jersey Shore.
From Jersey Shore, of course.
Yeah,
right, exactly right.
It was Thursday. On Thursday.
Joe Box and Little Anthony.
Yeah, Little Anthony, Joe Box, and Sal the Shoemaker with Snooki. I remember.
Yeah.
She was truly
She's now opening a clothing boutique in Huntington, New York. Nicole Snooki Polizzi Laval is opening the Snooki shop.
No?
The grand opening is, Snooki says the store will cater to ages 16 to 45 years old. She's opening the Snooki shop.
That's a pretty broad demographic.
You can buy a Movado watch in Sam's.
Okay. Well, if you're looking for a Movado watch, then you go to Sam's. But maybe... that's great. I thought you were going to tell me that she's pregnant or something. Does she have a family? No.
I think her last name is no longer Polizzi, so it's Laval. So I guess she's married, but I don't know about her
3
fertility
kids.
choices.
3 kids. Good knowledge, Albert.
Albert,
thank you.
Yeah, Gioni Laval. Also, it's odd opening 20 years. She's 20 years late on this project. I feel like the
I agree.
Hype train has stopped somewhere.
Yeah. When you have to say, remember Snooki? Do you remember Snooki? When you have to open it with that means you've missed the heat. And probably from a strategy standpoint, just from a pure raw business standpoint, not the best timing.
I did do a Google search, quick Google search. I know where we need to get to Michael Snyder. New Jersey officer delivers food to Snooki's house after her Uber Eats driver was arrested. That's just 3 weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
What?
Oh, so the Jersey cops stepped up and made sure that she got her Uber delivery?
Yeah, maybe he found out. Yeah, so maybe she does have some heat still. So.
Oh yeah, well, certainly in Jersey she does. I would think. Yeah.
Well, and lastly, I don't know if you guys have seen the story, so I wanted to make sure that you knew that Brock Purdy's latest sponsor is John Deere. He was spotted yesterday rolling through the streets of San Francisco in a John Deere tractor.
Feels great,
and
baby.
People
Wow.
were like, what are you doing in the John Deere tractor? Apparently, filming a commercial for John Deere.
Wow.
That's right. So Brock Purdy driving this $450,000 tractor through the streets of San Francisco.
Wow,
There he is.
my God.
Oh my God. Should have clicked on it. Yeah, so Brock Purdy and John Deere, and it's all goes to part of his farm boy image. But it's going to be a really interesting commercial to see a tractor rolling through the city.
Yeah, I think that that's kind of cool. It's a great idea, actually, to have a tractor rolling through the city.
Yeah.
You know?
There you go. This report is sponsored by Coachella Valley Coffee.
Woohoo!
It is
Having some
good
right now.
stuff. CoachellaValleyCoffee.com, the place to get your tea, the place to get your coffee, the place to get the good stuff. And you get 10% off by entering Mark T all together at checkout. Mark T. Go to CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. Peruse the offerings as we're doing on screen right now. You can ding it. That's right. And take a look and see what they've got there. You know, I really like the ginger mint tea, the vanilla tea. Today I'm having the jasmine tea. It's it's fantastic.
Oh, the coffee, the tea.
Take a look, see what they've got. CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. I'm Kim McAllister. You got it on The Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
This is Mark Thompson.
It's unbelievably offensive.
I think you know what the problem is just as well as I do.
Hey Mark, it's George Santos here. A lot of people are telling me you're a liar.
That's pure speculation.
There's always been, in this country, 30 to 35% idiots.
Morning.
Where are my weed smokers at? Your Honor, I'd like to ask for a recess.
Can you let him finish, sir?
You cannot say you love your country.
That was very inappropriate. Don't talk to me that way.
What do you think I'm going to say to you?
Whoever is producing this thing has no idea what they're doing.
Saudi Arabia pays cash.
What up, everybody? It's our Big Friday show. Thank you for being here. If you're watching live, a handful of people do watch us live. It's great to have you in the chat and the mix. And if you're watching in replay, it's also great to have you in the mix and the chat, which you can leave after hours. We read all your comments, every single one of them. And we'll drop all these videos today. We'll drop the conversation with Elex separately. We'll drop this one we're about to have with Michael Snyder separately. So you can get those videos and you can subscribe to our page. It costs you nothing. Smash the like button like a boss with the thumbs up.
With your iron
and please
rod.
share us on Facebook. You can share our shorts. You can share a video. You can share anything across Facebook where we're not really active. At least I'm not, and it would really be helpful. And you can hear, even in our conversation with Elex, all the different ways that Elex has his footprint, and that's so smart. And honestly, I'm exhausted just trying to get the show to the footprint that we have. So you, as if you're enthusiasts for the show anyway, sharing it really does help make a difference. And I really want to acknowledge those who stepped up today. Among them, Sherry Lexus with a 20. Come on, Sherry.
I stand correct.
Big shout
Sherry,
out.
I stand. That's my fault. My button, I hit
Big
the
shout out.
big shout out is what I wanted. I also want to say thank you.
Thank you so much.
Sherry. $20, and believe me, it will be applied in a big
shout
way
out.
to supporting this show. And I'm not going to cry.
I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry.
The support we've gotten almost makes me want to cry. Thank you, Sherry Lexus. Now, without any further delay, we move on.
It's unbelievably offensive.
Where's my, there it is, my organ.
The Mark Thompson Show.
There's my organ. The Friday show brings along a guy who knows music, he knows movies, he is the culture blaster, he comes and goes on a rainbow. He's the great Michael Snyder, everybody. Hi, Michael. Sorry to make you wait. Thank you for being here.
Well, I got to say, that was a marathon news segment. That was like massive. And I want to also point out that in terms of some of Kim's stories, it is a beautiful day in San Francisco. And Brock Purdy just plowed Polk Street behind me. I could not believe that. Oh my God. Is that a John Deere tractor? The sun is out. The shoplifters are in bloom here in the city. Later this afternoon, I will be selling off some prized possessions to afford the Golden Gate Bridge toll coming back to the city after a show tomorrow night.
It's expensive. They're trying to get the riffraff out, Michael. They don't want you to. They don't want it to be too affordable.
I am both riff and raff. Hey, how was your President's Day, Mark?
Well, it was good, as I recall. Why? What did you have to say about President's Day, Michael Snyder?
No, I mean, considering the election coming up in November, it felt more like the President's Day to me. But you know,
I get what you did.
Yeah, right. Let's get on. I mean, you pushed me into a corner here time-wise. The weekend's movies of record, okay, most of them, are replete with bad girls and criminal doings.
And please, if someone would ding, thank you.
Oh, geez, Louise. All right, let's get down to it. When I saw that Ethan Coen of the movie-making Coen brothers, as in Fargo, No Country for Old Men, The Big Lebowski, et cetera, that Ethan was the director and co-screenwriter of the new Lesbians on the Road crime comedy Drive Away Dolls. And when I saw that rising stars Margaret Qualley, daughter of actress Andie MacDowell, and she was featured in Stars at Noon and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Geraldine Viswanathan, an Australian ingenue from Blockers and the Beanie Bubble, that these were the titular dolls, I was primed.
Yeah.
Then when I noticed that Pedro Pascal, Matt Damon, Coleman Domingo, Bill Camp, and Beanie Feldstein, by the way, from Booksmart, were also in the ensemble, I was beyond stoked. Well, even without high expectations, I would have been disappointed by the helter-skelter journey.
Wow! After that build-up, you're disappointed?
The questionable stakes and the less than hilarious comedy that make it to the screen here in Drive Away Dolls, even with a cast that seemed all in, with the shameless sexual elements, offhand, albeit often off-screen violence, and a prize, the MacGuffin of the movie, that seemed like much ado about very little. Qualley and Swanathan play best buddies who go on a road trip when they come upon a very valuable suitcase filled with something that we don't really learn about. We don't understand the contents until much later in the film. And they're traveling from, the Northeast down to Florida, where they're supposed to deliver the suitcase. And there are criminals involved, and there are sexual perverts involved. And, it sounds exciting. And, the chemistry between Qualley and Viswanathan is absolutely palpable, and they're a joy to watch. And everybody kind of delivers their A game, but it's in the service of like a C-. And I just felt, it's hard for me to recommend Drive Away Dolls. By the way, FYI,
palpable,
the original,
by the way, Ding. Yeah, go ahead.
The original title was Drive Away Dykes, but unfortunately, Ethan Coen was told by the movie company or someone, nah. And so they christened it Drive Away Dolls.
Do you think,
anyway,
I'm not trying to be funny here, you think that would have mattered?
But it wouldn't have made the movie any better.
It wouldn't have made the movie any better, but in terms of box office, you think people would have been, oh wow, it's an edgier kind of title, probably.
And no,
right?
they might have been more put off by it. Dolls seem more enticing than dykes to some people, I guess.
All right.
I'm good with both dolls and dykes. Bring them on. I love them.
Okay. All right. That's a miss. What about what's next?
It's in theaters. Caveat emptor. You want to ding that, or do I have to explain it?
I guess you're right. It's a ding. Go ahead.
Okay. It means buyer beware.
I don't think you need to explain what caveat emptor means to my audience. My God.
Right, fine.
Have you watched the show? These are smart people watching this show.
Why are you yelling? I love the audience. These are my people. Red Right Hand, not the Nick Cave song. That's the theme to Peaky Blinders, but a gritty, somewhat predictable, but nonetheless entertaining crime drama. Is most notable for the lead performance by the usually proper and eloquent Orlando Bloom. I mean, this guy played an elf in the Lord of the Rings movies. You know what I'm saying? But
wow,
here
he looks like he's a stud there. Look at him.
Here he plays Cash.
Yeah,
Cash,
hot.
Not to be confused with your cat, Cash. Right. Cash is a down-home Kentucky dirtbag, albeit one who wants to turn his life around and protect his alcoholic widower brother, his uncommonly smart teenage niece, and the mortgaged ranch where they live and farm. And then there's the villain of the piece, a local crime lord who's in fact a lady until she does something shockingly sadistic, which she does over and over in the film. And she happens to be played by Andy McDowell, of all people, playing a sadistic crime boss. Anyway, she is in fact Margaret Qualley's mama. So we have kind of a little family situation going on.
The whole family's
here.
in the reviews today. All right.
Yeah, actually, Andy's movie struck me as better than Margaret's, but you wouldn't have thought so. But it's Orlando and Andy as you've never seen them, and that really got my attention. You also get solid work by familiar character actor Garrett Dillahunt as a sort of action hero preacher, and newcomer Chapel Oakes as Cash's niece, Savannah, and a decent climactic shoot-'em-up, which is important when you're going to have a movie about criminals and deceit and murder and theft and what have you. There is nothing particularly groundbreaking here, but I was diverted by Bloom and McDowell going at it in a Kentucky bluegrass frenzy. It's directed with workmanlike efficiency by Esham Nelms and Ian Nelms, brothers? Lovers? I have no idea. But, Red Right Hand is in theaters and available on various streaming platforms. And, I thought it was worth my time. Not a great film, but not terrible either.
Okay.
Yes, passable.
Right.
Let's actually raise the stakes a little bit. I know you're not a horror fan, but this is an interesting movie in the horror genre. You know the painstaking process behind stop motion animation? You know that situation? Sure. Where you have models that you move a skosh, you photograph them, and you do it in deliberate fashion for thousands and thousands of images. And then when you string them all together, it's like clay comes to life. You know the deal, right? You know that sort of.
Yes.
You're familiar with stop motion.
We're familiar with it. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. There's a lot of pain with or without staking in the new British horror movie Stop Motion, starring Eiling Franciosi, whose recent work in the Irish drama God's Creatures was noteworthy to say the least. In Stop Motion, Franciosi plays Ella, an animation expert. She's hard at work with her elderly ailing mother, whose stop motion movies have made Mom a legend. And that kind of has intimidated Ella, but she's there to assist. And circumstances lead to her starting to make her own somewhat spooky stop motion project inspired by a mischievous little girl in her apartment building. And that's when things start going seriously wrong, including her relationship with her supportive boyfriend. Ella gets so caught up in her work that the lines between reality and fantasy start to break down. The effects in this movie, overseen by director and co-screenwriter Robert Morgan, are appropriately grotesque and chilling. The use of model animation craft as a significant element of the film is kind of an original idea. Its tedious manipulation and photography of characters might drive anybody nuts. So, if you're actually making one of these things, imagine the man or woman hours. But it also allows for bizarre imagery and flights of fancy that can crash and burn. Stop motion, it stopped me in my proverbial tracks. Even if it doesn't kind of reinvent the horror genre, I thought it was pretty well made. And I thought that Franciosi is fantastic as the central figure. Stop motion is in select theaters right now.
That's pretty wild as a premise and as a backdrop for story. So, interesting.
Here's another kind of crime thriller movie that's not particularly groundbreaking, but manages to be watchable, and its provenance is unlikely. Let me explain where it's from and what it's about. It has kind of a rough southwestern United States setting and all American characters, but Bring Him to Me is an Australian production with a number of Aussie actors in the cast. I believe it was shot in Australia, and the cast includes Sam Neill of Jurassic Park and Peaky Blinders, and Rachel Griffiths of the HBO series 6 Feet Under as Americans with the accents and everything. And by the way, both actors play criminal types, and like Andy McDowell, Griffiths plays a vicious queen of crime. No kings need apply. So the main characters in Bring Him to Me are actually a veteran driver, as in Getaway Driver, played by Barry Pepper, who, to be frank, is of North American descent, and his comparatively naive passenger, a novice to the crime game, played by Jamie Costa, another American. So they're the ringers in this bit of down under rolling thunder. And the plot hinges on the driver bringing the passenger to Griffith's mob lady boss after a caper goes awry, thus the title. There were some continuity issues here and there, but director Luke Spark and screenwriter Tom Evans seemed more concerned with the dynamic between the driver and the passenger and the mystery of what awaits them at the end of their journey. And with compelling performances from Pepper and Costa and those unlikely but fun turns from Neil and Griffiths, it was tense and mysterious enough to carry Bring Him to Me as a decent B-movie crime drama. It's in select theaters and available on various streaming platforms. So two similar situations between that one and Red Right Hand. Of the two, maybe I liked Red Right Hand a little better, but neither of them wasted my time. I kind of enjoy that genre, so I kind of
look at the poster. You see on the poster, those of you who are on YouTube, everybody's got a gun. I mean, it's like, I get it. It's a crime film. It's just so wild to see, like, everybody in this shot, holding a gun on each other. I guess that's, it's a crime thriller. You have to expect that there are going to be weapons involved. It's just so wild to see everybody looks like a bad guy.
and everybody is a bad guy. Spoiler alert. They're all bad guys, Mark. Very astute. Okay, I want to wrap up the movie segment with a film that is one of my absolute favorites of the year, and basically of last year as well.
Wait a minute, where is that in theaters? The one we just saw?
In theater, I told you, in theaters and on various streaming platforms.
Bring Him to Me. Okay,
is available for your delectation, Mr. Thompson. All right,
Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Let's get to the crown jewel of this weekend's films, Io Capitano. It, I believe, is nominated for an Academy Award for Best Foreign Language Film, and it is powerful good. It's the work of the terrific director and screenwriter, a man who has made some really, really cool movies, and one of them, the guy's name is Matteo Garrone, and one of them, Gomorrah, is one of the best and coolest films ever about the modern day mafia. And it's absolutely worth seeking out. Again, it's called Gomorrah. But this film is a total change of pace. Io Capitano is the odyssey of two Senegalese teenagers who want to leave what is, comfortable but poverty in their hometown and travel illicitly all the way through the Sahara to Libya, and then get a boat to Italy, where they think there's going to be work and money and a degree of happiness, and they're going to be able to send money back to their families, et cetera, et cetera. But this journey is some perilous stuff. They have to deal with faithless and crooked facilitators. They've got to pay money. They've got to watch out for police and for bandits. And the stretch of desert they have to cross is absolutely brutal. And once they get to Libya, to get out of Libya and cross the water and get to Italy is another massive challenge. And it's brutal, it's grueling, it's powerful, it's uplifting. Io Capitano is actually absolutely worth your time, Mark. I know there's subtitles and, et cetera,
I don't mind
et cetera.
subtitles. I don't mind them. I just give you a hard time about them, but I don't mind them personally.
Yeah, I have to say that Seydou Sarr and Mustafa Fall, who play the two cousins, Seydou and Musa, they're obviously novices themselves, amateurs. They deliver rich and affecting performances. It was draining, but fantastic. Io Capitano, high marks.
What does the and what so it's in Italian? Is that what you're telling me?
No, it's in Senegalese, French, and Italian, but mostly it's in Senegalese and or whatever the African dialect is in the particular country that they're traversing.
Wow, traversing all day. Go ahead. Yep.
All right. Let's talk some TV because, guys like Phineas
I'll
J.
mention Kim may have to leave because she does another show, but we are going to continue, and I'll tell all our stations we are going to run just a few more minutes. And
we're not going to be much. It won't be much longer, but, No
rush on you. I just want to explain to everybody. So go ahead.
Anyway, I wanted to say that we should get to some television stuff. Audience... Mark Thompson fan, an audience member, Phineas J. Whoopi, was like, have you seen Mr. and Mrs. Jones, which is a TV version of the movie that I believe starred Angelina Jolie, and could it have been one of her husbands? I think Brad Pitt might have been in it. I can't even, it's been a while, but they made a TV version that I have yet to watch. I just want to apologize for not being Johnny on the spot there, but I do hear good things about Mr. and Mrs. Smith. What I have been watching and loving is the second season of Tokyo Vice, which is on Max. It's set in Tokyo, Japan, circa 1999, and it is an engrossing and exciting series inspired by the actual experiences of U.S. journalist Jake Adelstein when he covered the local crime beat for a Japanese newspaper, which means loads of cops and Yakuza gangster action and more, like hostess bars and Japanese noodle stands. There are gang wars, of course, and then there's newsroom infighting and romance mixed with that fish out of water aspect of an American living and working in Japan. Michael Mann, who created Miami Vice and was the director of Heat, Manhunter, and this past year's Ferrari is an executive producer. So, Miami Vice, Tokyo Vice, I don't know. Doesn't matter. The renowned prestige TV director Alan Paul helms a number of episodes. Tokyo Vice has a top drawer ensemble led by Ansel Elgort, the guy who played the young Han Solo in the Star Wars movie.
Sure.
He plays Jake, and the great Ken Watanabe is his main police contact, Detective Katajiri. I am deep into Tokyo Vice Series 2. Here's a bit of a change of pace. On Apple TV, The New Look debuted a week or two ago, and it is about the decades-long rivalry between French fashion design icons Christian Dior and Coco Chanel. And that may sound like, do I really care about high fashion? Well, their conflict on screen ranges from Nazi-occupied Paris during World War II, and that stuff is pretty exciting, to the post-war era when Dior's creative flair shook up the world of haute couture. It stars Ben Mendelsohn as Dior, Juliette Binoche as Chanel, Maisie Williams, tomboy Arya Stark from Game of Thrones, as you've never seen her, playing a grown woman here, and in this case, Christian's sister, Catherine Dior. John Malkovich as Dior's fashion mentor, Lucien Lelong. Emily Mortimer as the backstabbing, Axis-friendly socialite, Elsa Lombardi. and Klaus Bang as Nazi Slicker Spatz. I am deep into the new look, and I recommend it highly, even though it, again, you would think, do I really care about clothes designers? Oh, it's not about that. It's so much more. I loved it.
I've heard, actually, at my poker game, which is nothing but guys, I've heard great things about this. So it's not like as you suggest, not some thing that, just exists as a high fashion thing or spin on this. It's, I guess, really good, as you say. So, I mean, I would take just your word for it, but I'm suggesting I've also heard from others who are not even in the game who seem to speak very highly of this as well. So the new look.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. Did you want to comment?
I think that you and Courtney would probably, it's one of the things you guys could hunker down together and watch. It's there's something for everybody.
Well, we watched ISS last night, and the only reason we watched it is because I want to watch it because of your review on ISS. And somebody else, I think, in the chat mentioned ISS. Now, and you mentioned it in your review that it's like, it's okay, and it gets there. And I agree. I thought your review was spot on, actually. But I loved the premise of the world at war and the Russians and Americans, and I thought they played it in a layered way. I have a lot of notes, like I wouldn't have had this scene where they had it. I would have run it much earlier in the movie, blah, 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 blah. But I thought, it was just because it was movie night last night, I thought I'd mention it, and you just mentioned movie night again. So here's some things that might qualify for movie night as well. Again, on television, you can watch it anytime. The new look, Christian Dior and Coco Chanel going at it. And apparently it's filled with both intrigue and great performances. Tokyo Vice is the Michael Mann executive-produced offering now in season 2, and Michael really recommends that. Io Capitano, he says it's a grueling but powerful and well-worth-it journey as these, is it 2 of them? They work journey to Italy to look for work?
Senegalese teenage cousins that want to kind of better their lives and bring money back home to Senegal by voyaging to Italy and finding their fortune.
Again, that's in theaters and maybe on a streamer somewhere?
It's going to be coming to theaters this weekend, select theaters, and eventually it'll be on streaming, I'm sure, and it is really worth your time. It's the best
noted.
thing.
Io Capitano, it's called. Bring Him to Me is the crime thriller. Everybody's got a gun. You don't know who's going to double cross who. Who's the good guy? Who's the bad guy? Sam Neill, Richard Griffiths. Wow. I'm into it.
They're all bad guys. What do you mean, who's the good?
They're
degrees
all
of bad.
But who's badder than the other bad?
That's the point. Thank you very much.
And Stop Motion is the British horror movie with this bizarre, that's called Bring Him to Me, by the way, the movie we just had. Stop Motion is the British horror movie that involves literally a stop motion animation house, is it? Or what is it?
It's a young woman who wants to follow in her mother's footsteps as a stop motion animator, but feels inadequate. And, anyway, it does
it's horrifying.
Grotesquerie. It's grotesque in a good way.
All right. He likes his horror. There's Red Right Hand. Orlando Bloom, looking jacked, muscular, a much different looking handsome Orlando Bloom.
That's no elf.
And Andie MacDowell. She plays a crime boss. It's a brutal crime thriller. Cash is the name of Orlando Bloom's character. And Andie MacDowell is the female crime boss. It's in theaters. Proceed at your own risk. He liked it, though. Michael Snyder liked it.
I did. Andie MacDowell gives maybe the most unlikely and impactful performance of her career. As she's, getting on in age, she's still got incredible dignity. And wow, she just imagine her as a sadistic, Don of some sort, or Donette, or Donya.
There's never been anything like this.
And then finally, he started with Drive Away Dolls, the lesbian road picture. Margaret Qualley, who is the daughter of Andy McDowell, who you've just heard Michael lavish praise upon. He wishes that he could lavish praise upon Drive-Away Dolls, probably, but he can't do it because he is bound by the credo that informs his work on this show, and he doesn't like Drive-Away Dolls with this great cast. Who's in the cast again? I mean, everybody's in the cast.
I will see Margaret Qualley or Geraldine Viswanathan in anything, and they do their jobs. They're quite good, and their chemistry is good. And you've got Matt Damon, Pedro Pascal, Beanie Feldstein, Bill Camp. They weren't stinting on the supporting players, but it's sort of, it
doesn't work.
It doesn't
work. Drive-Away Dolls in the end drives away without us. Thank you. I just thought of that in the moment. It was an ad lib. Thank you. Michael, we love that you checked in from San Francisco. Get back to that Brock Purdy, John Deere commercial that's going on behind you.
Will do. Everybody have a great weekend, and we will check back with you with Dune Part 2 next weekend.
Oh, he can be read in the Marina Times. He is called the Culture Blaster across social media, and he comes and goes on a rainbow. Bye-bye, Michael. Bye-bye.
Go Warriors.
Go Warriors. The fading cry of Go Warriors.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I know what you're saying. It's too late to recognize. No, it is not. I saw Michael Reich, $117.26. Are you kidding me? I'd stay on the air. I'd come onto the air for $117.26. That's how desperate we are for support. He says, maybe this for the possibility of a Hammond B model in the studio. We need something for that.
Mark Thompson Show.
For that, Albert, I need that organ.
Yeah.
My dream is that we do a live show and we actually have a live organ player for that part of it.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Just a dream.
Like a ball game.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, you wouldn't limit the organ player to just that. Once you get the organ player, you're going to be heavy on the organ. I really...
The seventh inning stretch at 11:35.
Oh, yeah.
You take me out to the ball game. I'd love that.
Damn straight. Michael Reich, thank you so much. I want to give you a big shout out. And I also want to thank you. As a super sticker, if you're just listening and not seeing this, it's a super chat for $117.26. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. That is... I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. I'm glad we're getting off the air because I am going to sob over Michael Reich's contribution. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. Yeah. Wow. Really, really cool. Well, Michael and everybody who's made a contribution today. Edward Lee, big baller donations today. Exactly. Big shout out. That's me balling on a budget, he says. Edward Lee with a couple of bucks. I appreciate it. Thank you. I am supportive of anyone who's part of our community. Patreon, PayPal, or right here, super sticker, Vivian Elshawa.
Big shout out.
Big shout out, Vivian. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I love it. And Candace Worthman. Candace is so great. Supporter. Actually, everybody who supports us today, they are familiar to this show as supporters. So thank you, Candace, for a 20. Big shout out. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Tom Gunn, my favorite gun is a Tom gun. Big shout out. Wow, I'm not going to cry, Albert, but it is pretty impressive today. Really impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's deserving of the 4 thank yous. It's a very seldom do we break out the 4 thank yous, but today...
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll even throw in a Chappelle.
Thank you. A Chappelle thank you, too. Friday Fabulous Friday was fantastic. Here's a $5 from Steve S.
Big shout out.
Big shout out. Thank you, Albert, who curates Friday Fabulous Florida. Well, I love it. I'm glad we ran a little late. We got everything in and we luxuriated a little. It's good to luxuriate. One thing that happened when we left KGO Radio is we came over here and I thought, well, there won't really be any time restrictions on us. You know what I mean? You can tell when we start a couple minutes late. But when we go late, I feel like, we'll make it up on the other side. We'll go a little longer. But then they start the after party, and I feel some pressure to get off on time. And sometimes when I don't get off on time, I feel guilty about it. So like today I feel a little guilty, but I'm really glad that we got Michael's reviews in. They're comprehensive and they're really generally very good. Now you guys are released to go over to the after party live. I appreciate you. I appreciate you being here. They've already started, I'm sure. We've got a big week ahead with guests, special guests coming in next week. So please be here.
Shadow Stevens for the Mark Thompson Show. Bye-bye.
Albert, you have crushed it this week. Thank you.
Out of time.
Chapters
Bye-bye.
on all of our shows. Until next week. Bye.